Hello, Brother Sewing and Crafting family. Angela Wolf here, Brother Brand Ambassador, and we've got another fun show for you today. So I'll give you a hint in case you missed the title. It's, May. So we're getting into summer or the beginning of summer. What's the one thing you do besides pull all those dang dandelions? That's not it. It'll be way more fun. So pop in, say hi, say where you're from. We are live today on Facebook and YouTube, Crafts and Sewing Side. And you know what? We're live in the chat today. So Sara Vetser is here today. You know her, you love her. And if you remember a few shows last year about gardening, she's just adding on to that. And this is going to be a lot of fun. Sara, how are you?
I'm good. I'm warm. I'm very excited to get gardening.
Oh my gosh. So Sara, I was telling you earlier, the one project you did last year, well, you always do cute projects, but the one that is top on my list this year is doing those gardening pads. So if anybody has not seen that show from last year, go over to Brother Sew's YouTube page when we're finished here and click on the live button and go back and find Sara's episode on the gardening knee pads. The coolest tutorial ever. I do need to get all those dandelions, and I think that those knee pads would help, but it's really good in the garden.
Absolutely. Yep. I'm excited to use mine. And just the fact that I was able to use so many of my scraps that I wouldn't be able to use otherwise to fill the knee pad was such a big win.
You know, after you did that, a few other people on the shows, we were talking about that you had shown that. And it was such a great way to stuff a few pillows, like just decorative pillows and things like that. So now I have a whole little scrap bag. Before I would toss half of it or I would keep it and think I'm going to use it. Now it's like it goes into the bag that's going to be in somebody's fill. Well,
Absolutely.
not landfill, but fill into a pillow. That didn't come out right.
No, yeah, I've seen people make like floor poofs that are just stuffed with all of their scraps that they've collected. And we're not talking about crumbs, like quilting crumbs. We're talking about true scraps that you cannot use for anything else. We all have them, and yeah, it's such a good way. I have recycled the scraps in the past. I'll send them to a facility that shreds them up, and it makes even fluffier filling for pillows and home insulation and stuff. But it costs me money, so now I get to reuse them for free and make something out of it.
And make something. Well, since we saw you last, you had moved a while ago. You moved into your new studio. It looks beautiful. Did you make those curtains? I got to ask this. I'm squirreling on you before you get started.
I did. I made all the little curtain ties. I did kind of like a silk tie instead of just a regular curtain ring. Used my air serger to do a rolled hem on the edge of all those. Really came out really nice.
They look fantastic. Your studio looks amazing. And I see you have the new beautiful Aveneer right behind you, which makes it look even better.
Here she is. Right at home.
I'll quit squirreling on you. I could I spy in your studio all day because it looks so good. And I think everyone in the comments, what's your favorite part of Sara's studio? Drop it in the chat so we can see that.
Thank you. Today we are sticking to the garden theme because like Angela was saying, I did move. Last season, I was busy planting a flower meadow, which is so fun. This season, I'm focused on a little vegetable garden. So making that knee pad is something I'm going to be using in the vegetable garden. I also worked with you, Angela, on a sweatshirt where I added some vegetable embroideries. That's like a sweatshirt I could wear in the morning, right? It's all garden themed.
I remember that. Actually, I think my sister, if I'm not mistaken, I'm going to see her this weekend, so I'm going to have to ask her and I'll let you know. I'm pretty sure she watched that show and she loved that sweatshirt and that's what she did to hers.
Yes. I've worn it a couple times already. It came out great. And it was all using the Art Spirit app, right? All the built-in designs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Super fun. Okay, so today's project, we are using the new Aveneer, Brothers' new top-of-the-line sewing embroidery combo machine with all the latest and greatest features. I'm sure you've been seeing lots of it if you tune into Brothers' Facebook Live episodes. All of us educators are really excited about the machine. Today, I want to focus on the ISR, Intelligent Stitch Regulator function. We're really excited about this function, and I have been getting to do a lot of free motion lately, which is something that I've kind of dabbled in before, but with the ISR technology built into the Aveneer, I'm having so much fun with it. And so what I ended up doing is another scrap fabric project. I purchased a bucket hat from a store locally, and it's kind of plain Jane. And then I went ahead and took some pieces of scrap fabric to do free motion applique. So it kind of gives a scribbly hand-drawn effect to your applique, which I personally really like. It's definitely a particular style. So if this is the type of thing that you're into, then using the ISR free motion stitching to create your own free motion applique is so much fun. I highly recommend it. I'm a super, super beginner on free motion, and I think these came out. I'm really happy with how these came out. So you do not have to be an expert with free motion to get something really effective and cute. And here we go.
Those look so good. I was over here looking. The way that you did that free motion looks like beautiful embroidery. I mean, it's beautiful.
It's super cute. It's going on my head, and it's staying here for the rest of the episode. So,
so we can keep analyzing the decorations.
yeah. I'm really happy with it, and it just gives kind of like a cute hand-drawn look.
It's so cute. I love it. I love it. All right. So leave a comment below. How cute is this hat? And what are you going to put on your hat?
Right. Because
how to do this.
Yeah, the possibilities are endless. I think this is really cute for kids' hats as well. If they're really into sharks, you could do shark applique. You could, if you're also a vegetable gardener, you could do a variety of veggies. Don't have to just stick to one. But I stuck to carrots because I thought the colors really complemented this hat as well.
It really does.
Yeah. I have another sample here of some more free motion applique that I did with strawberries. This one came out
good. Look at those.
Super cute too. Pair of jeans. Angela, I know you do a lot of jeans, and so you feel my pain. I spent half an hour opening these legs up.
Yes, I do feel your pain. But for those of you that do this, that are going to follow her, open that outside leg seam, not the inside leg seam, because that takes forever and ever and ever.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So again, scrap fabrics, as always, that is so my thing. So all these cute little pink and green fabrics that I've collected over the years, and to make all these small shapes, you really don't need a lot of fabric, but you get a really kind of bold, effective design out of just using small bits and pieces of fabric. So love that.
Amazing. I would wear those all day long. Those are so cute and fun. That's embroidered jeans are so on trend, and they're expensive. They're very expensive.
Definitely. Yeah. So really fun way. And the ISR feature makes it really, really quick to get it done. And that's another thing I love, a quick, easy project.
I love that.
Cool. So as far as process, this requires very few supplies. It's a pretty easy process. I would say you could kind of get one of these done in an hour. You can also make your own bucket hat. I have definitely sewn my own bucket hats before. It's really fun. Also an easy, good, like beginner project, I would say. So I was a little crunched for time, which is why I purchased one. But if you have the time and you want to make a bigger project out of it, you can make your own bucket hat and then applique on top of that. So for my supplies, let's switch over to my table view here. I have just a couple of things. So you'll need some craft paper, and the craft paper, you can use computer paper or kind of anything, whatever you have on hand. The paper is going to be for creating your little stencils there. I meant to draw over that a little bit darker, but hopefully you can see I have my carrot shapes drawn on there. I made 3 different ones just to get a little bit of variety in the shape in there. You don't have to do that. You could just do one shape. You can even print out a clip art from the internet and use that if you're not confident in your drawing abilities. And then you're just going to cut that out, and you have your little pattern pieces or stencils. So I have my 3 carrots. And of course, I wanted to do the carrot bit orange, and then the top, the leaves in green. So I separated the carrot shapes from the leaf shape. Pretty standard, pretty easy to do. And again, try and use something a little bit more stiff. It makes it easier to trace. So I use the craft paper. If you have a cereal box in the recycling, you could take that out and trace your shapes on it. That makes a good sturdy paper for tracing.
Those are so cute.
Yeah, they're cute. They're little. I just kind of eyeballed what would make sense for the hat. So here's another Blake hat we're going to be working on today. You know, you don't want anything I mean, it's up to you. If you wanted to do one big giant one, you totally could. I wanted to do them kind of tossed around. So I just eyeballed it to make sure that I'd be able to fit a few of them on the hat. And then after you have your stencils done, I went ahead and prepped my fabric. So I pulled out some scrap fabric. Sorry, there's little yarns everywhere. This is a working studio. We got a mess. So I pulled out different oranges and greens, just tried to see what worked together. I liked the darker orange for this hat, but I think for this one we're going to do together, I'm going to go with the two lighter oranges here. I think those are kind of like pastel, goes with the more blue tone here. And then my greens kind of match with those as well. All right, so I went ahead
I love the match with those colors, Sarah, because they're a little bit, the oranges are a different tint, the green's a different tint. That's going to really look good.
Yeah, I like a little variety in there. And somehow I had all these different greens and oranges in my scrap collection, so just went with it. I got lucky on that one. So after I got my scrap fabrics out, I did put an adhesive on the back. So what do we call it? Applique backing adhesive. So it's like a double-sided glue. It comes with paper on one side so that you can press it onto your applique fabric. And then you can remove the paper backing, and once you cut out your shapes, those will have glue on the back. So here's a little carrot. That will have glue on the back so that you can just press it directly onto the hat. So I recommend this especially if you're a beginner, because once you get the applique pieces adhered to your fabric, it's going to make it a million times easier to do that free motion stitching, because all you'll have to worry about is where the stitching is going. You don't have to worry about that fabric shifting around on you while you're stitching. So highly recommend some type of applique, contact sheet, glue backing. Temporary spray adhesive would be good too. They also sell the temporary adhesive in a glue stick, which I love those as well. So any of that would work. You could pin it. They're just a little bit small for that, and you have to take the pins out as you're going. I like to have the least amount of distractions while I'm free motion stitching, so that I could just focus on what type of design and shape I want to make. And then after you add the glue backing, I went ahead and removed the paper on my glue backing. You can leave the paper on at this point, but I then took my carrot shapes, laid them out. I squeezed as many as I could in there to make the most of my scrap fabric. And I took a regular ballpoint pen and I just went ahead and traced around them. So, and again, I did that on the back of the fabric where the glue adhesive is. So if you ended up doing something that was lettering or a word and you trace it on the back, you have to make sure to flip it over. You want to mirror it, because once you cut it out and flip it right side, you want to make sure that the words are going in the correct direction. For carrots, it doesn't matter. So you don't have to worry about the carrots being right side up or right side down. You can just trace those on the back with a regular pen. The pen does not show through once you cut out those shapes. It's not going to transfer to your hat or anything. If you don't end up using an applique or a glue on the back, you can always use a water-soluble marker to just trace your carrot shapes or your applique shapes on the front of the fabric, that works as well. Since it's water soluble, it will just erase if you make a mistake or if you go too bold with the pen line. Making sense so far?
It sure is. And actually, I want to remind everyone that we're live in the chat today. So drop your questions below and we'll answer them in the chat. So yeah, this looks great, Sarah.
Awesome. All right, so I'm going to cut out a couple of these carrot guys. So as far as supplies so far, we talked about some paper, cardstock. You'll need fabric scissors. You'll need some glue, applique glue, temporary adhesive, glue stick, or a water-soluble pen. And then, of course, you'll need your blank bucket hat or sun hat. And then I also have a mini iron here, mini heat press, mini iron. Either of those will work really well for this kind of project so that you can press your little carrots onto your hat like that. You could definitely get away with using a regular iron if you don't have a mini one, but a mini one definitely helps for mini carrots. So now I'm just going to cut out some carrots.
I know somebody's going to ask this. I can feel it coming through the screen. Can you use the scan and cut to cut these out?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me of that. You can absolutely use the scan and cut to cut out some carrots. There's a couple things you could do there. You can still hand draw your carrots. You can actually scan the drawing into the scan and cut. It will recognize the lines that you drew and it will turn it into a cut file. I absolutely love that about the scan and cut. And that's a huge advantage of that scanner being built in. You can also, I'm pretty sure there is a carrot shape built in to the Scan and Cut DX. Don't quote me on that, but I think I've seen it before in there. So go ahead and take a look through your Scan and Cut shape library that's built into the machine. You might find a carrot there. And if you don't, there is definitely one in the ArtSpira app. So I checked on that today. I was like, let me see if the ArtSpira app has some carrots. It definitely has some carrots. So you can go ahead and use the ArtSpira app to find a carrot cut file and transfer it wirelessly to your Scan and Cut. And then you have options for the backing of the fabric when you're using the Scan and Cut too. There is a fabric mat specifically for kind of cutting quilting cottons and stuff like that. So if you end up using cotton, you can spray your cotton with some starch. We recommend that for the fabric mat. It stiffens it up. It makes a beautiful cut. And so that's a good thing to do. If you ended up adding the glue backing, the applique contact sheet, like I did here, then you can just stick the fabric down on the standard mat with the glue side down, and that'll make for a beautiful cut shape as well. So yes, you can let the Scan and Cut do all the cutting for you. Did I miss anything?
You did not miss anything. I'm just watching. I'm all mesmerized watching you cut the carrots.
It's relaxing. I've always liked hand cutting. You know, I actually was very bad at it in kindergarten, and my teacher told my mom that I needed to work on my cutting skills. So I had some cutting homework, but I'm pretty good at it now.
Oh, that's so funny. Isn't it funny the things that you remember from school?
Yes, especially because I went into, the fashion design crafting industry where you have to cut so many things all the time.
Well, I could share that too. When I was in college, the two worst out of my whole entire life, the two worst grades I've ever gotten, one was in acting and one was in fiber for fabrics. It was like fabric. Yeah, because the teachers were so boring.
Yes.
But no offense, I didn't say who the teacher's name is, but one was textiles, and it was talking about what's in the fabrics and all the weaves and stuff. Yeah, my two worst grades, and that's my entire career.
That's so funny.
You just never know. Don't ever give up, everyone. Don't ever give up on your dreams.
Exactly.
All right, while she's cutting, don't forget, drop your questions below. We are live in the chat today, and we are on both Brothers Sewing and Crafting YouTube and Facebook pages, and we'd love to hear from you. So leave a note, even if you're watching the replay.
I'm very curious to hear what everyone's ideas are for their own bucket hat. We have such a creative community. I love just how we all share ideas during these live shows. So after I cut a few more of the leafy tops out, I'm going to bring in my heat press, or my mini heat press, my mini iron, whatever you're using. And I'm going to put my hat down on my iron or pressing pad, and I'm just going to lay these carrots out until kind of happy with how they look. Now for my hat that I already made, I did just put the carrots on the front of the hat. I think I'm pretty happy with that, but you can definitely put them all around. Totally up to you. But tracing all the pieces onto the fabric makes it really easy to cut. If you end up cutting by hand, this is definitely my preferred method.
I think I'm definitely pulling the scan and cut out for this project, because I think I would actually even use my pen tool to draw. I would probably sit there and have a nice cup of coffee while I'm watching you do all that cutting, and mine would be all done.
Fair enough, fair enough. Okay. So, hat, I like to kind of mix in the two colors. These two are kind of similar to each other, but I'm just going to lay it as flat as I can. And then start playing around with the positioning. This one seems a little bit smaller than my other hat, so I think I'm going to end up doing 3 on the front here. I think that fills it in nicely. What do you think, Angela?
That looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Looks like a piece of art.
A what?
A piece of art.
A piece of art. Thank you. All right, so now I can take my press and I'm just going to press it. And you don't even have to press, you know, the whole thing. If you get the edges down, just enough for it to stay, because it can be a little bit tricky with a circular item like a hat. There's a lot of bumps and seams and stuff. So I just do the best that I can to press the edges down. But see, even if this is not fully adhered, this carrot is not going anywhere. This is not going to go anywhere because this whole piece is glued down. So all to say, don't stress yourself too much about getting a perfect press, because we are going to stitch this, right? We're going to sew it. We're going to sew it down. That's going to be really permanent. And that's going to stay. So the glue is just to temporarily keep it in place. And you see how perfect this mini press is, because it allows me to maneuver, press on my little pieces without, like, I can focus on each one. If I had a full-size iron, I would probably be hitting both of these at once. So
that is so cute. And I know somebody's going to say, where did you get that iron? It's not a Brother product, but I'm sure if you do an internet search, or Sarah can let me know and I'll drop it in the calendar so you can see. It's cute.
It is cute. There's so many good mini irons out there too.
Is that what they search for? Mini iron.
Yeah, so this one is a mini heat press. It has no holes on the bottom of the seam. But I have heard from so many people that they have mini irons, which do have holes for seam, and they love bringing them to sewing classes because they can kind of set up their own little pressing station.
Good Good
So
idea.
yeah, if you're someone who goes to classes, then a mini iron might be cool for you. A mini heat press is great if you do a lot of heat transfer vinyl stuff with the scan and cut or a lot of small appliques. You could even fit this in your hoop if you're doing a machine applique, like an embroidery one. You can fit this inside your hoop without kind of like hitting the plastic border of your hoop. So love it for that. All right, so let's talk about ISR. So I'm going to wake up my machine, and I think I'm just going to scooch my laptop a little closer here.
I'll take you out while you're doing. Well, we can still see you. That was a pretty smooth move. I always make sure in case like something falls over.
No, I got my computer on wheels, so we're all good.
All right, and again, drop your questions in the chat. We're live in the chat today. This is super fun so far. Very, very great description. No questions on my part.
Okay, perfect. So I have my ISR foot attached to the machine already. This foot comes with the Aveneer, and it has 3 different attachments. The little foot attachments come on and off really easily. You saw how quickly. Let's see if I could show that to you. So this is, my brain doesn't work when I'm looking at my reflection and it's backwards. But here is the foot that I'm using. There's also an echo foot and an open toe foot. And all 3 of them are included with the machine, and they just click right into the front. There's a small lever that pushes them out towards you if you need to swap them out. And we really like how this was designed because you can keep the whole ISR attachment, the whole foot on the machine while you're stitching out your feet, just like your regular sewing ankle. So we really enjoy that and the ease of kind of switching these on and off. And then it plugs in to your machine. So I'm just going to plug mine in. Just like the Move It foot that you're probably familiar with if you have one of the Brother Top of the lines. The Move It foot has like a little conveyor belt that moves along really thick, multiple layers of fabric if you're sewing them, or thick fabrics. And that one, so it's motorized, and so it attaches to the machine to get its power. And the ISR foot also attaches to the machine to get its power because, let me find my screwdriver here. I forgot I wanted to take this off the machine to show you guys. Of course, I don't have a screwdriver handy. The one time I'm neat and organized.
Oh my gosh, Sarah, those are like, I will find a whole little pile of them from all the machines through all the years. And then when I want one, I don't even know where that little bin went.
No idea where to get it. I know. I did it though. I found one. So the reason that this guy plugs into the machine and needs a power feed is because of the laser that's on the bottom. So this little laser light that's built into the foot is going to sense the movement of your fabric. So that's where kind of the magic comes in with this function, the ISR function, is that it adjusts the speed of the stitching of the machine to the speed that you're moving your project or your fabric. So previously we've had what we call now continuous mode. You would lower your feed dogs, you would start the machine stitching, and it stitches at one pace, and you have to try and keep up with it. And for an amateur like me, it was a lot of fun, but I would get a lot of uneven stitches. If I went too fast, my stitches would be really long, and if I went too slow, it would be really tight, small stitches. So now with the ISR foot and it's sensing the speed of my fabric moving, it adjusts those stitch lengths for me so that I get a really nice, even stitching product on my project without even trying. So I love it. I feel like it feels more like an extension of me. Like I feel like I'm kind of painting or drawing versus sewing, really, if that makes sense.
It does make sense.
So I'm going to attach it back to the machine and then plug it back in. And once I plug it in, this little message comes up on the screen here that says you can start free motion quilting. Be careful not to pull the fabric too tightly. It'll break the needle, so a little warning. And once you press OK, it's going to open up our ISR screen. And this is where you can choose what mode you'd like to use. So mode 1 is going to be intermittent mode. That's the mode that I like to use. That's the mode that is going to adjust to the speed that you're moving your project. And you can choose a straight stitch or a zigzag stitch. You can also adjust the height of the ISR foot itself. Mode 2 is going to be continuous mode. So if you have been doing free motion forever and you are used to continuous mode and that's what you're comfortable doing, you have that as an option here. And then mode 3 is actually a basting mode. So it's just giving us another warning message there. So the basting mode puts out a really big basting stitch, but it works the same way as intermittent mode. So it is going to sense the movement of your fabric while putting out a basting stitch. So that's really cool for all of our quilters out there. So I'm going to use intermittent mode. And for my bobbin, I went ahead and chose a light blue bobbin to match my fabric here. And I'm just going to leave that in the bottom for this project because I chose 4 different colors of fabrics here, the 2 different greens and 2 different oranges. And I'm probably going to use 4 different top threads. I like to use different contrast colors with it. That's what I did on this hat. And I like how that came out. So I think I'm going to do that again. So instead of stopping and switching my bobbin each time, I'm just going to leave the bobbin in that matches the fabric color of the hat and change the top thread anytime I want a different contrast color. So I did a light green, and then I did 2 different orange threads for the different orange carrots on this one. And I would just say if you really want your stitching to pop, to just try to pick a good contrast, whether it's darker tone than your fabric or a lighter tone. So these are the ones I use. Let's see if I want to use these again. I'm thinking...
Ooh, I like that.
You like that one? I don't know if it's enough contrast. I might go with the really dark one again for that carrot, but maybe this one for the lighter one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's a good combo.
A better way to check too is to pull out one thread, because then you really see this is a lot of color and you're going to be doing just a few stitches. So I like to just pull out one thread and see what the contrast looks like.
That looks good.
Yeah. And then this one I think would be good for that carrot top. And then I have a light green in here. So I'm going to start with the light green on this one. And I can switch my camera to show you my, oh, my camera moved.
Where did it go?
I don't know. I don't know who moved it. You can see there's a green light that's on. So that's going to indicate the kind of like the stitch field right there. And the machine will beep at us if we're going outside the stitch area. It will also beep at us to tell us if we're going too fast. So that's always helpful. I do not have my foot pedal attached. I am just going to use the green start stop button on the front of my machine. I'm going to put my hat underneath the presser foot here. I'm going to try my best to sew and not block the your view here. So
see, great.
Okay, great. My best tip. So first, you set yourself up for success if you pressed your applique pieces onto your project, because those are not going anywhere. They're glued down. Then the second thing is to just make sure that you have a really good hold on your fabric. I like to hold it on both sides so that I can easily maneuver it around. If you're using or if you're stitching something that's really big, connect your support table in the back of the machine so that your project isn't falling off the back and pulling towards the back. Same thing in the front, use some support so that the project isn't pulling and causing tension in this sewing area. Luckily, this hat is really small, so it's easy to maneuver just with my machine bed, and I have my embroidery unit attached. So again, no foot pedal. I'm just using the start-stop button on the front of my machine. I'm going to press the green start-stop, and the presser foot is going to lower, the ISR foot's going to lower, and then it's going to wait for me to move my fabric. And once I start moving my fabric, it'll start stitching. And then if you want to stop, you can press the green start-stop button again, or you can just stop moving your fabric. I got my hat a tiny bit bunched up in the back, so it was causing a little bit of resistance. So I just want to smooth that out. And then I'm going to go ahead and start it up again. It's really quiet when it stitches. So I went ahead and I just traced around the carrot top. And now I'm going back and making some fun little swirls.
It's so quiet.
Yeah.
So Sara, they can really see that green line right there. For anyone who maybe missed that, will you just explain what that green laser light is for?
Yeah, so that's the stitching field. So if your fabric is going beyond that, then you're not going to be able to stitch on your fabric. So for quilters, we have a rule that if you want to free motion quilt up to the edge of your quilt fabric, then you want to go ahead and leave 1.5 inches of batting that extends beyond the quilt fabric. And that way the sensor will still sense the batting material and allow you to stitch all the way to the edge of your fabric. Is that clear?
That's very clear. And I know, because I know even when I first started playing on that machine, at first you're like, what is that for? And if your fabric goes away from it, it does not work. So you got to just keep your fabric within there. So thanks for pointing that out, because I know a lot of people will be using that for free motion quilting too.
Yeah, definitely. All right, I'm just going to do the other carrot top here. And then I'm going to switch my thread colors. So there's a little bit of seam bulkiness here, so I just paused. I'm trying to kind of squish it, lay it flat. But I'm going to see if I can raise the presser foot as well. I raised it to 3.5 millimeters to give myself some more room. Let's see if that helps. Oh, that helped a ton. So this hat is definitely bulkier than the other one. It looks like my thread is getting caught. Let me pause, trim. All right, so I'm still outlining. And now I'm just going to go in and do some fun swirlies. And at the end, I like to kind of do my own back stitch and just go forwards and backwards a few times. Lock in those stitches a little bit. And now I'm going to switch thread colors. And I want to do this green top here. So I'm going to switch to my darker green top thread. Again, I'm leaving the bobbin in, just using a light blue bobbin, which matches my fabric. laying the hat as flat as possible. And now the presser foot is way too high. So I'm going to pause it. I'm going to lower the presser foot back down to the standard 1.5 millimeter setting and continue stitching. I'm going to pause to reposition my fabric.
It's so quiet.
Super quiet. All right, now we're going to do an orange. So should I start with, let's see. I'll start with the darker orange. This one's really more like red. Pretty dark. All right, same thing. I'm going to go ahead and outline the carrot shape. And then as I go back around the second time, I'm going to add some little lines. I might get a little bit closer to the outer edge the second time around. Cute.
Super cute. And so fast.
Yeah, it makes it really easy. And I mean, I really like to draw, so it just, like I said, it feels pretty natural to me to just let the fabric slide through, and whatever direction you want to go, you can go.
So just as a reminder, if you just popped in, that we are live in the chat, so leave your questions below. Even if you're watching the replay, we'll answer that too. So I would love to know from everyone, Sarah, while you're doing that, what are they going to put on their hat? Because I'm thinking, you said shark. I'm thinking fish on a hat would be really fun. That's perfect for me.
That would be so perfect for you. And you would make the most beautiful, colorful fish, and it would look great.
It would be colorful.
One more carrot to go. And then once we're done here, I think I am going to add 3 more to the back of this hat. I already cut them out, so I feel like it's just so easy to press them on and stitch them, and it's fun. Might as well finish it out, right?
I agree.
Have you made any free motion projects yet, Angela?
I have. And you know, I wish I had it here. I actually have it home because I'm packing. I made a free motion, a pretty big zippered bag. I put that project in the master class because it was so cool. So I did part where I scanned in the fabric and did part with my design center, and then you'd use the free motion all over it. It turned out to be the coolest bag, my favorite. And it's pink, of course.
Awesome. I hope I get to see it soon.
I'll have to text you a photo because I cannot believe it's not here. Usually I have it here. It's about this big, so I can put makeup in it, or I can put some sewing supplies, whatever floats my boat that day.
Love it.
I love thread painting, and my thread painting is not the prettiest, but I love doing it. So I have to say the nicest part of this stitch regulator is that every stitch, no matter how fast I go or how slow I go, every stitch is the exact same length that I want it. And I also like the fact that you can change the stitch length to make it a little bit longer if you want, a little bit shorter, whatever you set it up for, however fast you move, there it is. I love that.
Exactly. Yeah. Would you say that this compares pretty closely to thread painting, or how is it different if not?
What you're doing, yeah, that's thread painting.
Yeah.
Yours is a lot prettier than mine.
Well, here she is. Here's the front at least.
It looks so good.
So cute. It'd be cute too to add like some gardening tools in here, like a little shovel or a spade or something. Maybe a watering can. You could just get so creative with it. You just cut out whatever shapes you want and you stitch it on. So I also love that it's so, you don't need digitizing software. If you don't like this kind of style and you want a clean satin edge, absolutely. But you do need digitizing software. You need to purchase a design. But with this, you just draw the shape, you cut it, and you stitch it on, and that's totally my thing. I'm loving it.
Absolutely love it. So down below, I have scrolling. If you go to brother-usa.com/dealer-locator, without the little sewing thing at the end. But you can go visit your local dealer and play on the Aveneer, because there's so many things that it does. But this, I think, is hands down one of the coolest things. And even I'm not even a quilter, and I love it because I love doing thread painting and I love designing fabric. It ties right in there, and it just looks so much better because all the stitches are the same length. So
yes,
very
definitely
fun.
If you're a beginner, don't hesitate to try it with ISR. It just makes it really easy, because I am absolutely a beginner with thread painting and free motion. And yeah, I've just had so much fun with it, and I think they come out great. So try it.
Try it. And don't forget to use #BrotherSews when you do this, because we love to see what you're doing. And Sara, I have her website down below. I have Brother Sews down below, AngelaWolf.com. That's where you can go find the schedule if you're wondering who's coming on. And I try to keep like at least 1 week in advance if you're looking. And also, we're both on social, and so is Brother. So follow us and tag us when you do stuff like this. Sara, I will tag you when I finish my knee pads.
Yes. Amazing. Yeah, I always love to see what everyone's working on. So definitely tag us, message us. We're here.
They will definitely. So thanks everyone for watching. Sara, what a great project. I can't wait to see you again. I can't wait to see your garden. You need to send me a photo.
I do. It'll be ready soon, and I will share, and it'll be me in my bucket hat in my garden.
I love it. All right, everyone. Until next time, happy sewing. I will see you on the next show. I'll see you on Thursday, actually. And Sara, I'll see you next time. Thanks so much.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.